Wuthering Waves is just around the corner, and we're getting a standard 5-star unit selector at launch. In this video we're gonna go over gameplay kits, playstyles, and potential team synergies for all the available options. Without further ado, my name is Seconds, and let's get into it. Some of you may be wondering how this selector is actually going to work, so let's briefly go over it before we jump into the characters one by one. Keep in mind, this info is subject to change as the official game is yet to release, but is pretty much confirmed by now. Instead of the usual beginner banner with discounted pools and early PT that we are used to seeing in basically any new gacha, including Wuthering Waves who showed something like this in CBT2, Kuro Games decided to come out with a massive W and let us choose which standard 5-star we want. You just have to pick a 5-star character and then you are guaranteed to pull it in your next AD pools. That's basically it. Now I wanna take a second to remind you that in this game your gameplay matters way more than which unit you have. So there is no wrong pick as long as you enjoy the character and their playstyle. I firmly believe you're gonna have more fun and therefore play better piloting a character you actually enjoy and like the feel of. So we are finally ready to talk about our first unit, none other than our favorite one-winged angel. Our favorite ghost town, Mr. Calcharo himself. Calcharo is an on-field electro DPS who uses a broadblade as his weapon. His gameplay revolves around switching between his base state and his deathblade gear state, which is enabled after casting his Resonance Liberation, or in short his ultimate. Calcharo can stack up his Forte bar up to 3 stacks to gain access to Mercy, an empowered charged attack. You gain stacks by hitting enemies with your skill, which can be cast 3 times similarly to a deluxe skill from Jianxin or a Riven Q from League of Legends. In his Deathblade gear state, the Forte bar goes up to 5 stacks to enable Death Messenger, an even stronger charged attack. While in your ultimate state, your basics are gonna generate Forte stacks instead of your skill. Calcharo is definitely the unit you are looking for if you enjoy high-paced flashy combat and love your edgy boys just like me. To quickly go over which teams you're probably gonna want to run with him, you're going to have Calcharo as the main DPS, Mortefi as a direct buffer sub DPS, which will be replaced by Jianxin as a direct electro buffer whenever she comes out, because let's be honest, everyone is pulling for her. And finally, for the last lot, an healer in the form of Beiji, or for a premium alternative Verina, which is straight up a 5-star Beiji. If for some reason you still wanna watch the video and are already finding a way to make Calcharo materialize inside your room, I guess we'll get into the other options. Let's move on to Encore and their beautiful woolies. Encore is a fusion main DPS with some flexibility to play as your sub DPS. Her weapon of choice is a rectifier and their playstyle revolves around filling a dissonance bar by simply hitting enemies, to then enable a special charged attack which will switch you to the dissonance state, dealing fusion damage and becoming extremely tanky. Encore has a really smooth gameplay, focused on stacking up your dissonance from the distance to then cast powerful charged attacks. If you're looking for a satisfying gameplay, more slow and methodical, then she might be the one for you. But let's be honest, everyone who is picking Encore is doing it for the woolies, and that's more than a good reason. As for her team comps, Encore is unfortunately kinda lagging behind, waiting for a dedicated fusion buffer. Nonetheless, if you're gonna pick her up, I'd suggest you to run her as a main DPS, with the rover helping out with her outro skill slowing area, plus an healer like Beiji or Verina. Moving on to Jianxin, she's an aero support wielding gauntlets, focused on buffing up DPSs that mainly do damage through the Resonance Liberation. Jianxin is definitely the one standard character who got the short end of the stick, as even if her animation and design look flawless and are probably gonna attract a lot of players to choose her, her gameplay feels pretty clunky and not that good in practice, mainly cause she needs to spend a lot of time standing still, which not only actually hinders your gameplay, but can also be pretty boring. She's kind of a jack of all trades master of none, which will make her a decent unit at the start, but she will probably fall off in a short time. Even though she unfortunately falls pretty behind compared to the other options we have, at the end of the day, if you like the character a lot and you're committed to rolling for her, go for it. And I suggest you pair her with the likes of Chixia as a main DPS and a general buffer sub DPS like Mortefi. Second to last we got our furry boy Lingyang, a Glacial on-field DPS and another gauntlet wielder. The little lion guy has a really interesting gameplay revolving around the striding lion state, which is accessible after stacking his Forte bar through mixing basics and skills and then performing a charged attack. In the Striding Lion state, his attacks are gonna become all mid-air attacks for a brief duration, which can be extended shortly by using your skill during the state, or doubled by using your Resonance Liberation before entering it. Lingyang's gameplay is very fresh and enjoyable, and even though he's not on par with the damage of some other DPSs, he's still a very valid option to pick. For his team comps, you're gonna want to put him as the main DPS and pair him with Sanhua as a direct Glacial buffer, and you guessed it, Beiji or Verina as your healer options. Finally, for our last unit we have Verina, a Spectre healer equipped with a Rectifier as her weapon. There is not much to say about Verina as she's the premium healer in the game and is gonna be present in pretty much any comp you can fit her into, as she offers everything you need from your healer, from sustained capabilities to insanely long and valid team buffs. For her team comps, you could go for any of the ones suggested for our other characters, or for a 4-star alternative you could run Jianxin as your main DPS, with Tao Chi as a sub DPS and of course Verina as your healer. All things considered, I'd not be surprised if a lot of people were going to pick her as their guaranteed 5-star, as she without a doubt offers a lot of value both at the start of the game and in the long run. Before wrapping this up, I wanted to give you some final considerations. I need to remind you that whichever unit you choose to go for, in this game there is going to be a pretty huge emphasis on how you play rather than on which unit you play. So my personal recommendation is to just go for the character that calls out to you the most, be it for their gameplay, lore, design, or whatever reason you have. As long as you enjoy the character, you're going to have a great time. If you made it this far, thanks a lot for your attention, and I hope you found this video helpful. I'm gonna be releasing other videos and more in-depth character guides leading up to Wuthering Waves launch. So if you wanna help a bro out, subscribe, leave a like, maybe a comment, and feel free to give me any feedback you can think of, as it's gladly welcome, and don't miss out on the next content. See ya!